Thank you for watching our chook cam. If it starts raining, our whole tech crew are just going to go racing out and rescue that camera that's in the chook pen. When Lewis was 6, Matt was born. And as we came home from the hospital, this is 17 years ago, as we came home from the hospital, Lewis says, "So Mum, are you okay that you've got 2 boys now? You know, you haven't got a girl." And I said, "Well, look, sweetheart, I love the idea of having 2 boys and I've always wanted 2 boys. But next week we're getting chooks and we're getting 12 of them and they're all going to be girls." I've just been talking chooks with today's guests, but I don't think that's what they're sharing. Stay for another minute and we'll find out what it is. I've started my timer. Thanks for joining us. I've got Maria and Steve with us. They're in their very lovely apartment down in Brisbane, so there's no chooks there, but they did used to have chooks, didn't you? Did you?
Yes, oh no, I love my chooks. We lived in Cooperoo and we had 6 chooks. I would know who laid which eggs, all had gorgeous names, and just dealing with the hierarchy, you know, making the girls behave.
It's a funny
be nice
thing,
to each other.
I know, it's tough.
Handpecking is a thing.
It is. It actually is. There's all of those phrases that come out of chicken behaviour, isn't there?
Yes.
I know. It's an amazing thing. I didn't understand any of that before we had chooks, but we've had chooks for, almost 18 years now, so I'm completely across it. So, what piece of random shit are you going to share with us today?
Well, this is hard, to choose something that would be interesting. So,
what's it not?
What's it not?
Sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
So we've done a bit of travel, and one of our things with travel is to bring back a piece that we'll put in our little cabinets, which are just behind us, which you can't see. And so, we could talk about the tiling, the hippopotamus from Spain, the iguana from the Galapagos Islands, or the beautiful cows that sit on top of the houses in Peru. But we have decided to talk about this guy.
Which is like so that's a phallic kind of shape, isn't it, Maria? Is that what we're looking at here?
Very phallic shape. Very phallic shape.
Do you know what country it comes from?
I've got no idea.
Bhutan.
Oh, okay.
The happiest country in the world.
Yes, so I've read.
Yeah, so the interesting thing, we tend to take Marcy and Sarah on all our trips, which are Steve's daughters. And this was 2 years ago that we actually took them. So Marcy would have been 22 and Sarah would have been 18. It's Sarah who's dating Lewis. And on the trip, we actually went into this village that had all these phallic symbols, phallic drawings on all the houses throughout the village. And the history behind that was the temple that is associated with that village. They're divine, so they're, what do you call it, the wise man or the Buddhist monk?
Yes.
Yes, so the Buddhist monk that temple is based on was called the Divine Madman. And he actually, his story goes that he would use his penis to subdue demons in the village. And also he was famous for helping young ladies with their infertility problems.
It's quite the service, really, isn't it?
It is. But how did you tell Robin what they did for infertility for the young ladies who used to come to the
You
temple?
just have to lean back a little bit.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
There you go.
All right, so the technique that this divine madman used was he would have something like this, and he would... So, yes, and that did the trick, apparently.
That did the trick.
Yeah.
But he's one of the most famous monks in Bhutan, and he was a drunk, a womanizer, and would show his penis at every opportunity.
Oh dear, he really had it made, didn't he?
He did.
He left an impression on the country.
But Robert, let me leave an impression of your potential daughter-in-law to be.
Yes,
You ready for one of the photos?
I'm totally ready.
Oh, we have too much glare.
Oh yeah, it's a bit glary. Maybe you can send it to me and we can post it if she's
Oh, that's it.
happy to do that. Oh yes, okay.
Not sure if you can see the background there.
I can see the background. Nice one, Sarah.
And do you want to talk about the Bhutanese postal system?
Oh, so the Bhutanese postal system is one of the few systems in the world where you can take your holiday photos,
Yeah.
Or any photo.
any photo, and do a series of stamps and send that, and then do your postcards and send your postcards home.
Wow, really?
So Sarah chose that photo to send her series of postcards home to her grandmother and her mother and her friends, and dare we mention her boyfriends at the time's parents.
That's so funny. That is so funny.
And then this one is Steve. So this is what you get, is your photos. And I'm going to zoom this up. But this is Steve's photo of choice.
I didn't choose that. Marie chose that.
It's nice colour combinations there. I quite like the blue and the yellow going together. It's lovely.
There you go. So, I think we chose not to send your mum that particular stamp.
Chose not to send your mum.
Mums are funny things, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm going to be completely pedestrian with my sharing. But I have a collection of cookbooks, and they're not all mine. They've come to me from my mother, speaking of mothers. And this one is from East Lakes. In the 1960s, East Lakes had a special school. They didn't call them special schools then. They called them subnormal schools, which is shocking. And we would never say that now, but that's what it says on the bottom of the cookbook. And so what they were trying to do was raise money to build this quite a large school in East Lakes for children and young adults with disabilities. And in this book, and you can read through it, and there's lots of recipes and so forth. There's even a recipe there that was a firm favourite in our household. It was called treacle rolly, and possibly a little bit phallic because we've got that theme going here. Yeah. There's a bit of a theme. But what I found really amazing was on page 32, there's a little, the thing's full of advertising, but down here, and it'll be hard to see, and I might post it, because what I'd like to do is find out who on earth John and Christina Lambert were. Because they've taken out a little ad that warns the people of Australia not to get caught up in the illegal aggression now being committed in their name, in our name, in Vietnam. So this was at the beginning of before the beginning of the Vietnam War, and they've taken a little ad out in the Good Sense cookbook for raising money for East Lakes Special School to warn the Australian public not to get involved in the the illegal Vietnam conflict.
Wow.
And I know, it's amazing. So this would have been about 1962 or 63 or something, I guess.
I reckon they're Bernie Sanders supporters.
Probably that. They probably are, yes. Anyway, so that's full of...
That's sex and politics, so what's the religion?
Religion. Are you going to take us for a walk now? What's your next thing?
I think we should, yes.
Take us for a walk through your place and show us your next random thing.
This is Bozo, our puppy.
Oh, hello.
So just down the hallway. So I'm not sure how many of your guests previously would have taken you to their bedroom.
No, none. I think. Oh, unless no, that's not true. If we count my niece Sarah the other day, holed up in the Travel Lodge at Docklands in Melbourne, her whole room, where she's quarantined for maybe another 8 days or so after her return from Peru, the whole room was her bedroom.
Oh, there you go. So wait
Yeah.
a second. Okay, so I'm not sure if you can see the painting.
It's
Yes.
beautiful.
Okay, so we're doing penises and buzies.
Okay, yes.
So this painting is what we call the Buzzy Sisters. I actually bought this from a holiday trip I did to Bali,
Yeah.
and this is only 6 months before I met Steve. So I was living in an apartment, I had a vacant wall, and this just would have gone beautifully. It did go beautifully. But we have 3 stories associated with this painting.
Yeah.
So the first one, back to mothers. The first one, I'm going to get Steve to come in really close. My mother's super polite, and she's always gracious. And when she came to our apartment, being a tiny apartment, you obviously couldn't not comment on this painting. And so my mother, being as polite as she is, she actually went, "Oh my goodness, what a beautiful frame! Where did you get this frame?"
Oh, that's hilarious.
So that's my mother. Now, another story associated with this painting is when we first moved into this apartment, we're renters, and the walls are just glass. So I'm not sure how the visibility is going.
Look, that's that's the city.
That's the city.
Yeah.
And so then we were the first people in this apartment. There were no blinds.
Yeah.
And Steve managed to get a 20 to 30% rental reduction till we got blinds.
Wow.
So I wasn't in a hurry.
Nice negotiating, Steve.
Thank you.
So, but with this glass building, the amazing thing is if the sun's not shining on the glass, you cannot see it. So
Okay.
the nice thing was we moved in September, and the sun would actually track from this side of the building, which is east, over top and set in the west. And then that trip to Bhutan, where we got that penis from the Divine Madman's Temple, we came back from that. We were away for 6 weeks, but we came back, and the sun was now coming down much lower and tracking over here. And so we had the sun shining on the glass all day. Now, I'm not sure how good your visibility is, but the moment which I had a total panic attack was we're a block away. I'm not sure if you can see the white building.
Yeah.
We looked up at our building, and we could see the Buzzy Sisters.
Oh no!
That was the time you need to escalate the coming of those blinds.
Yeah. Bugger the rent reduction. Just get me the blinds.
No, you get the blinds now. I don't care about a rent reduction. No. Do you have time for one more story on the Buzzy Sisters?
Yeah, tell me another story.
Okay, I'll get Steve to flip around the camera because this is Steve's story.
My story. So the Buzzy sisters were in Maria's apartment in New Farm, like you heard. When Maria and I were getting married, we sold her apartment and it needed a paint job. And we sort of started doing it, but we were both busy with our jobs, and so we got a painter to come and do it. And he did a pretty good job, and then fast forward a year or two, we're living in my house at Coorparoo, and we go, the paint's looking a little bit, would benefit from a touch-up. So I go, that painter was pretty good, and I phone him up and go, like, he did this apartment for us in New Farm. He's like, he's not getting it. He's going, no, I don't really remember. I'm like, never mind, we're happy with you. Like, come and talk to us about our house. And he walks into the lounge room, which then holds the Buzzy sisters, and he goes, I remember. So So he didn't remember us, didn't remember the apartment.
No, but he remembered
didn't
that
remember our
beautiful
bosses.
painting.
But the painting, yeah, that was what he remembered. So
That's fantastic. That's wonderful. All right. Well, look, thank you for that. I've got 100 things that I can share, but I'm not going to, because I think that we should leave on the Buzzy sisters, because they really are.
Something religious.
Is there some reason why they have one eye open and one eye closed?
I cannot believe you're asking that, Robin.
Well, I've just noticed.
Well, they went to Bhutan and there was an accident.
Oh no! They were suffering infertility. They got whacked on the head. That's hilarious. All right, well, I'm going to leave it at that.
Before we get cut off.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you both for joining us. It was wonderful.
Thank you.
Thanks, Robin.
Thank you for joining us. That was hilarious. I'm still laughing. There were some other things that I was going to share, but I'm going to save those for another day. Join us tomorrow afternoon and have a great evening.
One of the questions the guys asked, why are they blinking?
And they all are, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She has one eye open.
Isn't that funny?
So we were wondering how we were going to get you to ask us that, but
I just did.
You just did it naturally.
Yeah.